Hey, somebody give me something in the chat. Can you hear me? Somebody let me know. Are we getting sound? Are we getting sound? Ladies and gentlemen. All right, great. Fantastic. This is only like the second time I've done it with this kind of setup, guys, so I appreciate your patience. Generally, I have everything all prepared and out in front of me, and, well, it's a little different this go around, so I'm sitting here. Doing it this way, I have 3 different pieces of software I have to, like, monitor, and I can't have my volume. It's so weird, but you guys are hearing me, so this is awesome. And I tell you what, I want to start out with complaining about the judicial system. Look, if somebody wants to take you to court, why does it, I mean, unless it's something completely ludicrous, why we see people getting sued all the time for the dumbest of things, right? There's stuff, and believe it or not, these are real court cases, guys. Somebody sits on a toilet seat, and because it was cold, they sued the manufacturer and won. Somebody fell out of bed, sued the mattress company and won. You know, stupid stuff like that. And the reason I'm saying this is because what is going on with the Macron versus Owens? This has been going on a year, one attempt at dismissal after another. They had their final little plea thing, you know, Monday, like, hey, you know, is this going to trial or not? And the judge needs more time to think about it? Does this make sense to anybody? I mean, you should know at this point whether or not this can go to trial. Instead, we all got to sit here and wait for the judge to make an announcement one way or another. I don't know. It seems completely ridiculous to me. So what's been up, everybody? Glad to see you guys. This is, I feel so out of place, like not saying, all right, guys, today we are talking about, and here's this clip. So instead, what I did is I analyzed Candace's ridiculous episode from last night, went ahead and did my debunk on it, and uploaded it just as a straight up video. So that is out there, guys. It was 13 things, coincidentally, 13, that I had to disprove from Candace, you know, because she gives you that big hype. Like, this episode's going to change the course of the investigation forever. And it didn't. Anyways, I've got that video out, guys. If this was a normal episode, we'd be going over that, but there is no need to do that. I see Jim, I see Loyal Love and Marshall. I've seen everybody rolling in. Ex-Samurai. Dude, anybody that has that as a screen name, you are right in my book. Karen the Happy Camper. Dude, people's screen names. Not 33. That's right, Jim. Not 33. I heard she released footage that judge ordered to stay contained. You know, who knows? Because you can't believe anything that she says. That's the problem. That's the problem. And fact of the matter is, the proof in the pudding with that one is she'd be arrested. I mean, hey, I appreciate that, ex-Samurai. I really do. So what are we going to talk about today, guys? We got 2 hours. 2 hours of me drinking Diet Cherry Coke. I'm willing to bet you guys are going to want a little more substance than that. So I took my dog, I took Remington out right before sitting down here in the studio. And it'd be hot out there in them there parts. Not cool. Jim says we've got 20 people here. So far, so good, Ann. I can't complain. I got up, spent the first half of the day working up the debunk video on Candace's episode from last night, released it. Then I took some time to catch up on comments, catch up on Facebook, because I've been kind of behind with... I used to post like every couple hours on Facebook, and now I just can't keep up with it. Then I got approached by this marketing company, Striper. Yeah, Jim, I did. One of the very few successful Christian metal bands. Got approached by this marketing company that they want to sponsor the show. It's from Sony. And I'm trying to, it's so hard to trust anybody when it comes to people approaching you in email. Can you do this? Can you do that? We want to pay you to do this. And that's going to lead me to a story here I want to tell you guys real quick before we really kick this thing off. I got an email today from this company. As a matter of fact, I will go and look at what the company is. And maybe you guys can do some investigative work for me, because I don't like when people ask to have control, like admin control of things. That's like an instant red flag to me. But they reached out to me. It's Likeable, likeable.com. This chick's name is Madison Taylor. She says she works as an independent influencer partnerships coordinator. Wow. Supporting brand campaigns and collaborations with agencies such as Likeable Media. And what she's wanting to do is to pay me to do commercials, kind of like Candace does in the middle of her show. Do commercials for Sony products. But the part that has me a little bit weary, and maybe you guys can, because this is all new to me, maybe you guys can do some research for me. Let's see where she says what she would actually need to do. Oh, she says, okay, we will design the creatives once the collaboration is confirmed. So we are required to set up the ad campaign to track the performance, and you have to assign a partner with limited permission analytics and advertising on my page. They provide the business ID. I assign the partner manually to my Facebook page. Does that sound legit? It's like, I don't want to give access to my 20-some thousand followers on Facebook if this is a scam. And the reason why I'm weary, I don't think I've ever told you guys this story, is I think it was back in December. I was approached through my Can You Fax Me email. Let me see if here it is right here. Now this kind of, I emailed Johnny Chang. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Johnny Chang, but he's like this found God again guy, and he does these podcasts or whatever, and he's got this huge following, right? Well, I got an email from somebody claiming to be him. This was way back, and it was saying they wanted to pay me $4,000 to come on that podcast. Now that was first red flag to begin with. Okay, why me? You know what I'm saying? And he said he wanted me to come on the podcast and talk about my experience with God. So that was the bait. I was like, yes, this is something I would absolutely love to do. But then I started like, wait a minute, this just, something isn't adding up. And then they added, or they asked me for control of the admin panel on my Facebook page so we could both stream the podcast. And yeah, I said no. I said, no, something's not right with that. Something's not right with that. But that's what put me on guard, is these scammers were using a real podcast, Johnny Chang, and his likeness and everything. And I emailed him and said, hey, can you confirm that this is your people? Because if it's not, they are using your name, your logos, your brand to try to scam people to get access to the Facebook page. Now, he never responded back to me. So I don't know. But regardless, That's how I feel about this one with Sony and this likable.com. It's like, how do you know when stuff is legit anymore? And I, you know, and it's like I've said before, I have no problem with being paid to advertise, but it's going to be things that I like legitimately back. You know what I mean? I'm not, if it's something I don't agree with or something I don't use, I can't be bought in that way. You know what I'm saying? But if Marvel comes to me and says, "Hey, will you do marketing for Iron Man?" Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to keep asking around, guys. I'm going to ask like LLC and Jay Witt, see if anybody's been approached by this person. Because even ChatGPT, I decided to ask AI about the email address, and it said it was legitimate, but I don't know. We'll see. Loyal love, man. When you ask a question, you like interrogate. Loyal love says, can you share your professional background, experience, skills? You also have what is up with all that? Well, this is only 2 hours, so let's see how fast I can do this. Started piano when I was 5 years old. Drums as soon as I went to school. Guitar at 5 years old. Went all through school, college prep classes. Went to college, degree in psychology. Was in a band that entire time. Started my first band in the 8th grade. First band was called Methuselah. Yes, Methuselah, straight from the Bible. We were pretty much a Metallica knockoff. We even took the M and the H in Methuselah and made it a little lightning like Metallica. Went to college, got the degree, moved to New York City for a bit, worked at a record store, didn't like New York City, moved to Myrtle Beach, where I spent most of my time. That's where I would say the bulk of a normal career came. I was the director of marketing over 4 multi-million-dollar businesses in Myrtle Beach for over 10 years. If you've ever been to Myrtle Beach, you were probably at one of them, and I was there, interestingly enough. I left Myrtle Beach in 2012 and moved here to the Jacksonville, North Carolina area to marry the woman that is now my wife. But in between, I've had music deals, television deals, film deals, music and movies. I've appeared on paranormal shows. I think you guys, we've talked about that. I released 6 paranormal books, released a political book. I don't know, man. It depends on which direction you want to go. I've always been into graphic design, filmmaking. I've done documentaries. I love creating. It's literally a jack of all trades is kind of how I built myself. You know what I mean? I guess what it all comes down to is I don't like handing the reins to something that I'm working on to anybody else. Like with these other podcasters that have this team, you know, and a producer. And even if I could, I wouldn't. That's just not me. I never have. I've always done everything independently. So that's why until the day I die doing Fax Me, I will continue to be solely responsible for all of it. Production, everything. But there's things I'm missing. We're going to have to get a little more specific, I think. Yeah, Lindsay, Metallica is just, they're amazing to me to know they're in their 60s and they're still able to perform that thrash stuff from the 80s. And they really are the epitome of what it takes to be a working musician. You have to evolve. Your sound has to evolve. You know, they have changed to every market and been successful. It's pissed some fans off, but let's face facts. If they would have never changed their style after And Justice for All, if they wouldn't have changed their style for the Black Album, we wouldn't be talking about Metallica right now. And you look at the bands that play that game, that, oh, we're not selling out and we're going to stay true to our sound. The only problem with that is your sound ends up sounding the same. And that's what happened with Megadeth. Megadeth was great in the 80s, but they never evolved. You got to evolve. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. And I just hope with Metallica, and I don't think they would, but I hope they don't go the route of some of these other bands like Motley Crue and just some of these dudes that should not still be up on stage. David Lee Roth, it's embarrassing. Bon Jovi, it's embarrassing. Guys, give it up. You're leaving your legacy look bad. So I hope when Metallica gets to the point where they can't perform to that level anymore, they retire from that side of it and just go into different musical projects. You can never kill the musician. Go into acoustic projects or go into your own solo projects. But don't get up there and try to pull off Master of Puppets at half the speed. You know what I'm saying? Once you get to the point you can't do it, don't do it no more. Anyway, don't get me started. You got me started. All right, I'm trying to go through your text here. However, if you were contacted via WhatsApp or text message about that is a scam. That was straight to my email. I don't know. I'm going to try. I think the next step is getting a face-to-face over a Zoom or something, because scammers won't do that. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But yeah, Lindsay, you're right, man. You look at, like, Vince Neil has been an embarrassment for a while. And I mean, the thing about it is, like, with Vince Neil, he wasn't all that great of a singer in the 80s. He was all studio quality, but live, he sucked ass. So now it's like you got him, David Lee Roth, these guys out there, they have to drop the key of the song to even come close to hitting the notes anymore. Bon Jovi's been going downhill for a while. Dude, you can't sing Living on a Prayer anymore. Please quit trying. It's embarrassing. It really is. Like, if I pay the kind of money that they are requesting you pay to come see them for a crap show, forget about it, man. Forget about it. But Metallica, they know their boundaries, they know their limits, they know their skill set. They're genuine. They're genuine. And a lot of people want to hate on Metallica because of the Black Album, but it was the best move they ever could have made. That album's phenomenal. They're not doing 10-minute songs, changing time signature 12 times throughout the song. Who cares? We have that already. Why do we need more of it? Yes, Earth Angel, I do. Always have, always will. You know what's interesting, Earth Angel? I was thinking about this the other day. I actually really didn't start into the cover song thing until well into my adulthood. When I was in my band Methuselah in high school, like I said, we were big Metallica heads, and I was the drummer. So I just, whatever, Lars is pretty easy. It's not real technical like Dream Theater or Rush or anything like that, or Tool. Some of it can get kind of hairy. You just got to have a lot of stamina. But it wasn't until when I was playing guitar, a lot of people didn't even know I was doing it because I never performed it until I got out of high school and into college, and I formed Phantom Music Box, which has been the band I've been doing since 1998. The music's on Spotify. It's everywhere. It never took off because I like you guys have gathered, I don't sell out to image. I'm just not the marketable musician. So I mean, I think it's good tunes. It's just it's not for this modern audience. It's definitely not. It has a retro rock, retro metal, some industrial stuff kind of in there. Phantom Music Box. If you guys ever get a chance to look it up on Spotify, it's all there. But that's my band and has been my band since 1998. But it wasn't until adulthood that I started learning like other bands' music, believe it or not. When I was playing guitar, I didn't want influenced by other people. So I was immediately out the gate as I'm learning guitar at 5-6 years old, picking out my own little melodies and stuff. It wasn't until I started gigging heavily, once I hit the Myrtle Beach scene in 98, I started actually learning cover songs, which surprises a lot of people. Motley Crue says I'm way off base with Motley Crue. Hey, I love Motley Crue. Dude, Dr. Feelgood, I love that album. The production on that album, the drums, man, Bob Rock did a great album with them. I mean, I love Motley Crue. I will listen to Motley Crue until the day I die. I just think their performances are crap. Total crap. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They all will. Poison will. They'll all sell them out. I mean, as much as I love GNR, Axl sounds good sometimes, but then there's sometimes, man, it's like, dude, you can't do those songs no more. Why are you charging $1,500 for me to see you sing off key? It's just not cool to me. And Motley Crue, just to clarify, selling out stadiums does not make you good, right? By that logic, we would have to say that Candace Owens is right. 6 million followers or whatever. It's nostalgia is what it is. It's nostalgia. I think the last decent 80s metal band that I saw live, excluding, when I say 80s metal, I'm talking that hair metal, like Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Skid Row, not Metallica and stuff like that, because I've seen them plenty of times. But I would say it was probably Def Leppard. Def Leppard still sounded really, really good live. And they've got big production value, too. Absolutely agree, Lil Love, because they're actual musicians. They're actual musicians. That's the thing. That might have been when they were using backing tracks, Motley Crue. I'm not trying to twist the knife. I'm just saying. But I was on a thought there or something. Somebody said it's an old school artist. Yeah, because they were real musicians, Loyal Love. They were forced to learn how to play their instrument and master it. Same thing with singers. Look at the 80s. The 80s had phenomenal singers, phenomenal guitar players, phenomenal musicians across the board. Then the music industry simplified it in the 90s because they knew by using simple music, simple musicians, they would have to pay for less time in the studio, less marketing, and they could pump it out a lot quicker. Like, I think Nevermind from Nirvana, I want to say that they spent maybe $100,000 on that, give or take. I mean, come on. Versus Metallica, let's say the Black Album, they were in the studio for a year and a half to make that album. So they decided, let's call this thing grunge. It'll be cheaper to manufacture them, cheaper to pump it out. And then from that point on, the quality of music, now don't get me wrong, there's some of it I like. Simple music can be good. Don't get me wrong, but musicians just started going like that. Because now you got the auto-tune, and you've got drum machines and AI music and all this other stuff. People don't have to be good anymore. Now it's more about the image. You have to have the look, and then we can figure the music part out later. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah, I agree, X Samurai. I love Journey a lot, man. I really love Journey a lot. I love Skid Row. I wish Sebastian Bach wasn't so cocky, man, because he's a great singer, and I loved their first 3 albums were great, but once Bach left, I was out. And speaking of Motley Crue, like even when they switched to John Corabi, that was a solid album, man. Even without Vince Neil, that was a good album. It just wasn't what true Motley Crue fans were looking for. All right, Nikki, we'll see you later. Take care. Sorry it had to come to this. I just play. I can't. I have tried so hard to find something in country music. I grew up in the mountains of Western Maryland, so it was always around me. The one thing I will say, the older country music, lyrically, they had some great lyrics. And I'm not talking about when they're talking about their dog dying and beer down on the Chattahoochee and hoochie coochie and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like Reba McEntire, The Lights Went Out in Georgia, about her brother. That had some depth to it. I can really respect the lyrical quality of it. I just can't get into the twanginess. I think that's what it is, the twanginess of country. Because I can listen to some old Willie Nelson. I can listen to Charlie Daniels, But when it gets too twangy and just very, I don't know. It's not for me. My best friend loves country roads. That's his ringtone. Oh my gosh. Oh, Molly Cruel, I'm sure you can, man. I'm sure you can. You know, the best connection I ever had, and I just brought him up. My best friend, Alan, was former military. When he got out, he asked if he could come stay with me down in Myrtle Beach when I was living down there, help him get situated and stuff. And I was like, yeah, man. So he came down and he ended up getting a job at the House of Blues there in Myrtle Beach, and slowly became the head of security. And it was so awesome, man. I saw so many shows at the House of Blues at Myrtle Beach because of Alan. He would call me up and say, hey, Alice in Chains is going to be here on Friday. Show up to this door at 6 o'clock and I'll let you in. Dude, I got to meet so many bands. I got to go backstage, all because of Alan. All because of him. When Bruce Willis was touring with his blues band, I got to meet him. I got to meet the guys from Poison, Whitesnake, Steve Vai, Queensryche. Here's one for you, Nikki. I went to see them because their mandolin player is so phenomenal. Nickel Creek. I saw them. Now, I like them. Really good, talented younger people. Well, they're not young now, but Rusted Root, Alice in Chains. I said that one. White Zombie, Pantera, Megadeth. Oh my God, the list goes on of the bands I saw at the House of Blues because of my buddy Alan. And getting there and being able to go in and hang with these people, man, was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I never got into Kiss, man. I really didn't. I don't know. They got a couple good songs. I won't deny that, but they weren't something I really just... You know, me growing up, it was really important. My dad had his own little music studio in our house, and we would spend time each evening. I mean, it was kind of like a me and dad thing, listening to his albums. And I can remember, this is what caused me to fall in love with my favorite band, which is Pink Floyd. Which the irony, you know, Pink Floyd's my favorite band, but I listen to all this metal. Dad, of course, had all these old albums: Van Halen, ZZ Top, the Eagles, Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, Queen, you know, Genesis, Styx, Kansas, all this stuff. And I would always ask him at 5 years old, play the Helicopter song. Go play the Helicopter song. And I was talking about Another Brick in the Wall. I loved it. I was 5 years old. I loved it. And then about 6 or 7 years old, I stick in one of his Van Halen records. And I can remember it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. Then I took Dad's old guitars and I started teaching myself guitar. It was awesome. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. I grew up in a very musical family. I am classically trained. Like, I learned the books. I learned music theory. But then I can also just... it's just in my blood, you know what I mean? I can play it by ear and that's cool and everything, but I wanted to know I wanted to know the science behind it as well. But yeah, man, my dad, those moments to me is what molded me as a musician. And Ramsey, you're saying Alice in Chains, they're my number two. They are my number two, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you a funny story with Alice in Chains. You guys probably remember back in the day with, speaking of which, I actually met William Duvall, their newest singer. Their replacement singer. I met him a couple years ago. Really nice guy. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. But anyways, you guys remember back in the day at Columbia House and BMG, the little catalogs you guys would get, and where you could order a bunch of cassettes for a penny. Y'all, Cat, I already got rid of you once. Anyway, so I'm looking through the Columbia House, and Dad comes in my room. He goes, hey, who sings this song? And he's like singing some of the melody, and it wasn't clicking with me. And I was like, I don't know. And he said, well, the video, he's like, I was flicking through the channels, and I came on to MTV, and the video showed like a bunch of war stuff. And I immediately thought Metallica won. You know what I mean? And I said, Metallica? He's like, no, it's not them. And he said they were talking about a rooster. I'm like, a rooster? Right? So I was like, I don't know. So I keep looking through the Columbia House catalog. And I see this little ad for this band, Alice in Chains, with an album, Dirt, with the hit song, Rooster, Wood, and Them Bones. I'm like, Rooster? I wonder if that's what Dad was talking about. So I went ahead and ordered it, along with the other tapes I was ordering, which was like Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction, some Metallica stuff, whatever. So Dad, we get it, and I give it to Dad. He goes to work, and now I'm in high school. And he comes home. He goes, here, you want this? I said, what? What, does this suck? He said, no, it's just, I liked that Rooster song, but the other stuff was just too heavy for me. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, so I took it, instantly fell in love with Alice in Chains. Dude, the dissonant harmonies, those minor thirds, they sounded just so fresh, original, new, something like nothing has ever been done before. Alice in Chains truly had, and still does, their own sound. So I immediately went back and bought their Facelift album, their Sap album. Then shortly after that, Jar of Flies came out. And then I've just, ever since. And it was all because of a mistake. My dad thought he wanted it and didn't, and that's how I got into Alice in Chains. So my first two bands, Pink Floyd and Alice in Chains, are because of my dad, which is interesting. Nutshell's great. Oh, Jar of Flies, they're just so good. They're so good. And it's so haunting, too, because you can listen to them now and you really hear, man, Jerry Cantrell is the sound of that band. Now, Lane can't be replaced, but William Duvall does a really good job. He really does. Oh, where are we at? Now I'm actually back to looking at the chat. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I love Jimmy too. And I mean, once I really started getting into guitar, there were probably 2 years where that's all I listened to was just mostly instrumental music. I went out and I got like everything Joe Satriani ever put out. Anything and everything Yngwie Malmsteen put out, all the way back to Rising Force. Steve Vai, all of Steve Vai's work with Frank Zappa, with Ozzy, with Whitesnake, of course, all his solo stuff. Dream Theater, you know, I really went through 2 years of just listening to the Olympics of guitar players and musicians. And it definitely, when you take all of that and then you couple it with other things like Pink Floyd and listening to the Beatles, and then really create versatile listening and writing experiences. Yeah, with grunge, you know, let's talk about grunge for a second. Because like I said, it was just a huge marketing ploy. It was to sell cheaper music. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean lesser quality songwriting, just cheaper music. We went from phenomenal, almost operatic singers, and in some cases operatic, Jeff Tate, Sebastian Bach, to mumbling Kurt Cobain, Eddie Vedder, you know, because there were more of these people than actually trained musicians, and it was just easier to fool the teen audience that this is a revolution, a music revolution. Grunge music did not force the 80s music out. That is such a misperception. The music industry forced the 80s music out because they were under contract. And if you go back chronologically, you will see that they couldn't release albums. They couldn't even tour. They couldn't do anything because they were still owned by the record company. So the record company said, nah, you're not pushing any music. We're pushing these guys now. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins, Collective Soul, all this stuff. So it wasn't that they ran them out on their own merit. They were stopped by the very industry that controlled them. And it wasn't until like 95, 96, you started to see like Def Leppard released a new album. Motley Crue released a new album. Bon Jovi, you know, because they got out of those contracts. And Metallica actually took the Elektra Records to court, and the judge deemed that that form of contract was a form of slavery. And because they had these people these bands locked into 10-year contracts. So if you got signed in 1989, you were locked in until 1999. So that means you couldn't release anything unless the record company told you you could. So it was no big revolution. But I will say, there's stuff that came out of that era. Chris Cornell, phenomenal singer. How and why Alice in Chains and Soundgarden were called grunge bands is beyond me. The level of talent between those two bands, singer-wise, musicianship, songwriting, grunge to me is just dirt music. You know what I mean? Just real simple 3-chorded stuff, mumbling, blah, 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 maybe 3-minute songs. But there was too much talent involved in Soundgarden and Alice in Chains for them to be lumped in with that low-grade music. To me. Chris Cornell was... You listen to old Soundgarden, man, they were freaking hard rock, man. They were metal. Alice in Chains is metal. Dirt is as metal as it gets. It's hard, man. But that wasn't what the industry was telling the audience. That's what happened in the 90s. It was one big freaking scam. All right, what else? Well, to sell flannel shirts. Yeah, I fell for that. No, I was already wearing flannel. I'm from Western Maryland. We invented flannel. Yeah, it was a shame to see Scott Weiland die, Chris Cornell die. Maybe you guys know a little-known talent, Jeff Buckley. That boy, the voice on that boy. He died. You know, it's a shame, man. I don't listen to him, Linkin Park, but that Chester guy, he had a lot of respect. He died. You know, and Scott Weiland had a lot more talent than people give him credit for. Like, I mean, I loved, what was the album? I loved Purple from Stone Temple Pilots. I liked the Tiny Vatican Small Shop little album. I don't remember what that was. But it had like a retro sound to it. I really liked that. So Stone Temple Pilots were evolving too, you know, which is how you make it. You know, that's where bands like Live went wrong. They just sounded the same, and then it's like, okay, you're done. Smashing Pumpkins, kind of the same thing. You know, he's still around. Billy Corgan's a massive talent, but it all kind of started meshing together and sounding, especially Live, started sounding the same when you don't have that studio clarity. But Jeff Buckley, man, he was going to be it. He was going to be it, man, and he died. And he was best friends with Chris Cornell, which is kind of ironic. Oh, there's someone. Love Jeff Buckley. Yeah, he was a massive talent. Yep, Blind Melon. What was his name? Shannon Hoon. Do you know that Shannon Hoon actually sung on Use Your Illusion? Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion? It's amazing how all these guys kind of worked. Sebastian Bach sang on some Dream Theater songs. It's weird how they all kind of mix together like that. I love Scott Weiland in help me out, guys. Velvet Revolver. That was a cool album. That was a good album. That Fall to Pieces song, really good. So melodic. Yeah, Buckethead's all right, man. It takes a lot nowadays for newer stuff to impress me, unless it's the older people doing it. You know what I mean? Like, there's bands that are trying so hard, and I get a lot of crap for dissing them, and I'm not dissing them for their talent. I'm just dissing them because, what are you doing? What is their name? Greta Van Fleet. Yes, they sound like an old 70s band. Yes, the singer sounds like Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. Too much. And you know, it's like I tell people, I already have all that music in Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin. It's cool to have a retro rock sound. I have a retro rock sound. But nobody's saying, dude, you sound just like this, or dude, you sound just like that. But Greta Van Fleet, dude, you might as well just call yourselves Led Zeppelin and be done with it. It's nothing new. It's good. It's talent. Phenomenal singer, but it's nothing new. You just sound like a very good cover band, if I were to put it. This is Scary Barry. I am a blue raspberry freak, so anything that's blue raspberry, it's all mine. Kind of like I am with cherry Diet Coke. Or wait. Oh! Never mind, I got the regular. I lied. Don't fax me. What else, guys? What is going on? What is going on? I prefer cigarettes. I used to smoke, man. You know what got me to quit smoking? And this, I'm not saying this is your case, Donna. What got me to quit smoking is I needed to quit drinking. And as long as I was drinking, I was smoking. A lot. I quit drinking and I didn't want cigarettes anymore. As a matter of fact, September 15th will be 6 years sober and 6 years without a cigarette. I can't even stand the smell of cigarettes now. Oh, you ready for this one, Ramza? Ready for the cat's name? It's Tom. Yeah. I'm not really a cat guy, but he likes me. So I'm an animal lover, so we kind of have an agreement. If you know what I'm saying? He's, dude, all right, Tom, whatever. Yeah, we keep him around. Well, I appreciate the fact that you thought I was in my 30s, but I am 48 years old. I call it a Lancaster gene gift. My mother's the same way, man. She's in her 70s, and you would swear she's in her 40s. It's like just that baby face look. It has its ups and downs, believe me. I get called a lesbian a lot. It's not easy being this pretty. I'm kidding. Oh, yes, sober people, that's what I love to see. Not that I'm judging anybody who drinks. I honestly wish I could have controlled it, but it's not happening. It's not happening, and it's never going to happen again. Thank you, Earth Angel. Yeah, the paranormal stuff was a huge part of my life that was never planned to be that way. I got into the field of paranormal research in 1997 for my own personal quest. I had a spiritual experience at 10 years old in 1987, and I wanted the answer to that. So I started reading everything I could, all different kinds of religion, cryptozoology, ufology, paranormal research, occurrences, telekinesis, all that stuff. And it wasn't until 97 I started taking cases for other people, because back then it was still taboo. You just didn't talk about it. And I long story short of how this became something it really didn't intend to, is I was just fine being a private investigator doing that. And I was logging all of my case files, actually like physical case files in a filing cabinet. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put these onto the computer. So I just took the most productive ones, like cases that I felt produced something that couldn't be explained, and put them into this Word document. And it was like 87,000 words. And a friend of mine, he wrote The Uninvited, which I'm sure you guys have heard of The Uninvited. He said, man, let me read that. He said, I've never really read anything from the perspective of somebody who actually goes out and investigates other people's claims of the paranormal. Now, you guys got to remember, this was way before ghost hunters, before this all became, the most ghost hunting we had on TV was Scooby-Doo, you know what I'm saying? And they were debunking it every time. So I sent it to him, and he's like, dude, this could be a book. And I'm like, really? You think so? And he said, yeah. He said, let me, you care if I shoot this to my acquisitions editor? And I said, nah, man, go right ahead. And long story short, they offered me a 3-book deal. And with that came living the paranormal during that contract. You know, I had to do book signings. I had to do TV appearances. It led to going on the TV shows to represent the paranormal or speak as an expert on a UFO sighting or whatever, this, that, or the other thing. And my contract didn't end until 2016. And then they signed me immediately for another one for the Norman the Doll books, went through those 2 books, and then I got all my rights back to all of my books. And finally he's like, okay, I'm done. I was never that guy that wanted that kind of lifestyle. So I'm done. I'm out. Now that I own my stuff again, I'm out. This was a journey I was on that ended up becoming a mainstream thing. So, yeah. Yeah, cryptid stuff's fun, man. Oh, I got furries. I have tons and tons and tons of paranormal footage, man. I've got documentaries I could load up onto this channel. Some of them you can watch on TV if you've got a Travel Channel. I don't know what station is My Ghost Story or A Haunting airing on now. Last I checked, it was like Discovery Plus, but I've got episodes on those shows. You can watch those probably on demand. But then I've got, for 6 years when I was doing those books, I was doing a show called Monster Vision TV. I think I told you guys that is originally where my tagline, educate, don't fabricate, came from. Because I was so irritated with the television shows faking stuff. Yeah, can you imagine? Right? I just hated ghost hunters and paranormal state and ghost adventurers staging this stuff. I was on these shows. I knew they were faking it. You know, and it was like, so here's Monster Vision TV. We are independent investigators. We're going to put out an alternative. Educate, don't fabricate. You know, that's where that came from initially. A lot of people don't know that. But it was fun. It's not anything I would trade. Yeah, that's actually how I met my wife. That's how I met my wife. It was 2008 or 2009. I can't remember. But I would hold these classes because, again, I was trying to correct what television was putting out there into everybody's minds about paranormal investigating. It is not like you see on these TV shows. So I started a course in Myrtle Beach called Paranormal 101, and I held them at the Brentwood Wine Bistro in Little River, South Carolina, one of the most haunted places I've ever been in. I put that place on the map as far as the paranormal is concerned. And basically what I would do is I would do a 4-hour class, which essentially I would teach people how to use the equipment properly, how to take pictures properly in low lighting, ISO settings, you know, how to use electromagnetic field testers, how to use thermal cameras properly, how to debug. The majority of the class was how to disprove it. And then what would happen is we'd all come back to the restaurant that night, and I would escort them through the building on an investigation to test everything that they just learned, making sure they weren't just emulating what they saw on TV. And one of those students was my wife. And long story short, we started hanging out after that. She joined my paranormal team. I moved up here to North Carolina, and the rest is history. Jerry, you can ask whatever you want, my man. We're just, I don't know why or how they're sitting here listening to me rambling. But this is my family, man. We're family, you know. Sometimes you got to listen to that crazy uncle and just be like, I know. You know what I mean? I think it depends on who you talk to about the paranormal. If you had a straight on paranormal conversation with me, I think your views of it would change. So many people are skewed because of TV. It's the same thing everywhere, guys. It's like what we're dealing with Candace, trying to convince millions of people this to make money. Paranormal shows do the same thing. They're trying to convince you of this to make money. You know, it's all just deceitful. But true paranormal research is not. When you go back and you read up with like Dr. Barry Taff, look up Guy Playfair, you know, look up these people that have been doing it before TVs even existed. You know what I'm saying? It was true to a science, a pseudoscience. They don't do that anymore. One Earth Angel, there is one place that is probably the most evil place we've ever been to. It was my wife's case, as a matter of fact. And it was up in St. Paul's. And her associates were working that case for a while, and it got really out of hand, and they asked me to come with some of my associates. And that was bad. That was bad. As a matter of fact, the best piece of evidence I have in favor of the paranormal came from that location. And it's something like this location's so bad that it's not even operable anymore. I don't want to get into it. Maybe we'll do a show on it, because this is a show. This would be a show. It was one of the flagship stories in one of my books. But the footage that I got, I'm going to tell you about this footage. And if you guys remind me, I will dig it out, and one day I'll show you on the show. Let me set this up for you, because this still to this day, the place we were investigating, this case that was my wife's case, was an old plantation in St. Paul's. It still had slave quarters on the property. Okay, the voodoo stuff was still in the slaves' quarters. You know, the little rope things that they tie and the symbols and all that stuff. Well, it's a violent entity there, and I am saying entity like totally demonic, man. At the time, I didn't want to use that word, but looking back, that is exactly what it was. So I think when we were doing the exploding mic theory demonstration, I was talking about John Numbnuts Bray putting thermal filters over existing video and calling it science. And I said that, you know, my paranormal team used thermal cameras. Well, we had a $30,000 Fluke thermal camera that was given to us to use for this investigation from Fluke, because this investigation was going to become a documentary. So there are 3 levels to this plantation house, and on that 3rd level you go up a set of stairs, and it's a wide open room. Now those of you who have been in old historic plantation houses can probably visualize this a little bit better. You come up the center, and you're now into the center of the attic. On both walls, on both sides, there are doorways that you can actually go out, and you're over top of the roof on the outside. You're on the rafters. You're still indoors, you're under the roof, but you're on the rafters, okay? There are windows on both sides. Then you got the doors over here. I feel like I'm bringing you guys into land. So I took, there was like a 6-foot ladder up there, and I set it on one end of the attic, and I set up that $30,000 thermal camera, and I shot it, you know, to cover the majority of the attic. That night, my wife-to-be and I go through one of those doors, and we're sitting on the rafters conducting a communication session. You know, we're trying to get some kind of activity. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, Tina, do you see that? Like, you know, when you're in the dark for a while, your eyes can start playing tricks on you. So I wanted a second opinion. But all the way down in the darkness, you could see like something moving. And she's like, yeah, what is that? And then it shifted, like full on movement. And you're like, well, I said, holy, you know, SHIT. And it was gone. So we run down out of there, and we're telling everybody that's out at base camp. We had brought campers, tents, you know, because there was no electricity on this property, no running water. We would spend days and weeks there at a time. 80 acres. So we run down and tell them what we just saw up on the outside of that attic. And then it hit me. I had that thermal camera running. So I run back in there, I get the thermal camera, I come back down, and I set it up in front of all of us, and we're watching it. And you can hear me and my wife, to be, doing the communication session. And then you hear me say, holy sh, when I physically saw that solid black mass. Here's what happens on the thermal video. Again, remember I told you I set it up and it's spanning the entire attic, and there's the windows and the doors over here. You see this sphere come out of the opposite side me and my wife are in. Come out, it crosses one window pane, then it disappears. Then when it gets to the next window pane, it manifests, and it's a full-bodied apparition. Then it walks through that doorway, and as soon as it does, you hear me say, holy sh. So it came out as a ball. You could see it in the first window, disappeared. Then you saw it full-bodied in the second window. Then it came through that doorway to the rafters where we're down there looking this way, and that's when I acknowledged the fact that it's there. Now, if that's not cool enough, notice I said it came out as a sphere. I saw it in the window, reflection, disappeared, then it appeared full body in the next window frame, right? Next window pane. Here's the thing. If that entity was in the attic, we would have seen it on that thermal camera the entire time. But instead we only saw it in the windows, which means it was in midair 3 stories up outside the attic. I had Sci-Fi offer me $5,000 for that piece of footage when they were doing a show. What was it called? Fact or Faked, I think. Something like that. I was like, no, I'm never selling that footage. That is like proof that there was something that gave off thermal energy, heat, or I'm sorry, cold air, whatever you want to call it, above 3 stories up in the air, outside the windows. Went from a basketball-sized sphere to a full-bodied person. That is incredible. That place right there. But 99% of the time, guys, most places are benign, if anything. If anything, most of the time you can disprove it in seconds. Honestly, it's not like you see on TV. As a matter of fact, while we're on the subject, I mean, if you guys are finding this interesting, we've got 16 people here, guys. Apparently it's not that interesting. But as a matter of fact, the quickest case I debunked was in Myrtle Beach. This business, it was a golf course, had got wind that I performed those kind of investigations in that area, and they asked me to come by, and I said, well, what are you hearing? And it was the maintenance guy. He tells me that when he comes into the clubhouse of this golf course, every morning he hears somebody walk across above him. And I'm like, well, what's above you? And he said, it's the owner's office that's always locked, so there's no way anybody. He says, I'm the first one here every day. I'm the maintenance guy, so there's nobody up there. I said, well, I'll come by, I'll check it out. What time do you get there in the morning? I'll meet you there, and that way I'll walk in with you and witness what you're claiming. So he agreed. I met him. We walked in, and as soon as we walked in, the door shut behind us, and sure enough, doom, 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 like somebody just walked across that entire office above our heads. And I was following it with my eyes, and that's when my eyes made contact with the AC vent. This is why when I built my paranormal team, when we were running full time, I had carpenters working for me, electricians working for me, people in the medical field, people in the military, people in law enforcement, because every one of them came with an attribute. They could disprove things. What that was the fact that the AC was running, and when he opens that door, okay, it let the heat in, some cool air out, AC kicks on to justify it, to adjust it. Well, when that AC kicks back off, when it brought it back up to the desired temperature, inside those ducts are flaps. So as the wind is coming back toward the AC unit when it turned off, doom, 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 every time. It was nothing more than the AC unit, not a ghost. Okay, Donna, yeah, I promise. So are you guys finding this like boring? Like, is this something we should keep doing? Like, you can be honest, man. I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to bring you what you guys want. You know why Candace is so scary? Because she's real. It's not some fake TV made up character. This is a real human being that is that evil, that heartless, that conniving, that methodical. That is scary. That is scary. SC Whippoorwill. Whippoorwill. Yes and no on your voice boxes really pick up, or are they fake? If you're watching it on TV, it's going to be fake. Those shows are completely staged. Like I said, I've been in front of the camera on them, and I've been behind the camera on them. It is completely staged. You think it's reality? It's not. If you walked in a certain way, they will stop you and they will say, do that again, but come to your left a little bit more. Or if you said something a certain way, they will yell cut and they'll say, don't say it like that. Give it a little more attention. Like if you walked in and said, oh, it was just humidity causing the door to stick. They cut you. No. This has to ride till the end of the show. So you what would be causing that to stick? You know, and then come the end, you figure out, oh, it was the humidity swelling the wood in the door. You know, it's BS. But here's the thing when it comes to ghost boxes. You don't need one. You don't need one. You just need anything that communicates. Could be a cell phone, could be a radio, could be anything. You're naturally killing your credibility by just letting these ghost boxes, they're just scanners, that's all they are. Scan random radio frequencies. Of course, they are going to pick up words because there are broadcasts everywhere. Radio uses RLC circuits. Digital recorders use RLC circuits. And those pick up radio frequency. And when you look at like what are the most common words said on radio is yes and no, or somebody's name. Those three things are the most common things said in radio. Yes, no, and somebody's name. So when you're scanning something and you say, are you here in the room with me now? And all of a sudden it stops on AM station 544. Yes. And it scans again. Are you happy? No. Are you here with us now? Robert. You know, it's of course you are asking the questions, you're going to get the answer you want. You can, but when you do it in a controlled environment, like, yeah, Fort Fisher, absolutely. Up until they banned it because some paranormal investigators went in there and partied and left beer bottles and all kinds of crap, and now they don't let anybody research it anymore. Anyways, what was I saying? The way I would do electronic voice phenomena with ghost boxes or even just EVP sessions, you have to have everything completely covered. In other words, what you see on these shows is they're standing there with their little audio device, right? Is there somebody in the room? We're just here to help you, blah, 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 blah. All these open-ended questions. And then they later go back and they discover a voice on it, right? You guys know the routine if you've ever watched these shows. Here's the problem. You don't know what happened when you're listening to a blind audio file, right? That could have been somebody shifting in their seat. I've seen people have the recorders hooked here. They're holding them. Somebody's stomach growls. Somebody farts. Somebody belches or holds a belch in. Bodily noises. What happened outside, right? So what I would do, if I was going to conduct one in this room, I have a camera that would be aimed outside that window, a camera that's aimed outside that window, a camera on me, a camera on the actual audio device that's going to lay stationary on a table, right? And then a camera out the door into the other room. So when I do capture something on that audio recording, I can review every single camera to make sure the one that's pointing outside, it wasn't somebody walking down the street and just happened to say something, or it wasn't a car going by, or wasn't somebody playing the radio as they were driving by, wasn't another investigator in the house whispering something in the kitchen. You can cross-reference it and say, okay, at 12:01 a.m. on my audio recorder, I hear this word. Let me see everybody's camera. Go to 12:01. I want to see what you all said at that point in this house. You know, that's how you come up with something that may be something, not the way they do it. I'll tell you the one time now it depends on how you define EVP, okay? A lot of people say it's only something you can hear after the fact, electronic voice phenomena. That only works if you're using actual tape recorders, because tapes are magnetic and the voice is transferring to tape. But when you're using digital recorders, it don't work that way. There's no magnetism. So if it's on that recording, on a digital recorder, it should be on every camera in that room. You should have heard it yourself if you're sitting in silence. So anyone saying that with a digital audio recorder, get out of here. Get out of here. The same concept don't work. It's just convenient for them to use digital because they have to put it in their computer. You know what I'm saying? Where I always used analog. I use tape. I use videotape, everything. Because film can be analyzed. A digital recording can't with that kind of stuff. But I could take any piece of film and have it analyzed and they could say whether it was manipulated or not. Can you tell where I get my facts me from? We're going to cover all the bases. I'm telling you right now. Now, there have been voices I captured that I heard myself that were on all video cameras and stuff that I could not attribute to anybody else that was with me. Sometimes I was by myself, so there wasn't anybody else. But most of the time, you can dismiss it as something else, especially with the setting up like I do, where you cover all these outside elements that could have caused that one sound you're now listening to in headphones with no visual to compare it to. You know what I mean? Ramsa, I'm going to have my mods ban you for the next 24 hours. We don't talk about Trilogy of Terror here at Faxme. I thought we'd been over this. Yeah, Donna, it's really, really sad when you think about it from that perspective, because none of this can be taken back at this point. You know, now that we live in internet world, it's everywhere. You know, when we were growing up, you didn't hear about stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? We had a house phone. You know what I mean? And then when we finally did welcome the internet with dial-up, we weren't doing much with that either. But it's everywhere now. And it's permanent. It's forever. And it's such a shame, and that bothers me so much, that his kids are going to grow up. And you know, curiosity is going to get the better of them. And they're going to look. And they're going to hear it in school. You know? There's going to be the bully types that are saying, hey, look at this. I watched this Candace Owens woman from 10 years ago and da-da-da-da. It's awful. It is absolutely awful what this woman has done. That is not the behavior of somebody who truly cared for Charlie Kirk. It's just not. Whippoorwill, you are welcome, man. This seems like such... I don't think I'm going to do these shows anymore. I feel so out of place, man. I feel so out of place. Like, I don't have a plan. I don't like not having a plan. I'm enjoying the conversation. I just feel like I'm boring the crap out of you guys. Man, ex-samurai, I'm with you on that, you know. At first, I felt like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but at first I got angry at people falling for Candace Owens, like the stupidity behind it. Like, dude, I'm trying to help you. Like, here's the actual truth. And you can only take it so much when instead of them saying thank you, though, I'm still agreeing with her, or, you know, just being polite about it, they have to attack you, and they just don't want to hear anything that's different. They don't want to hear the truth. So it sucks. And I pray on it, man. I still pray for them. But I'm like, yeah, I just don't have any tolerance for it anymore. Now I just poke fun. Well, that's great, move on. Or you don't belong on this channel. Or, you know, how's your mom doing? I'm just done. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. These are grown adults. I have to keep reminding myself that these are grown adults. Well, Loyal Love, ask a specific question. She says, I'm actually curious of your take on politics and war and culture. Let's bring that down to this. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? I just don't get it, man. I know we're treading on thin ice with this freedom of speech thing, but man, dude, you are free to say whatever you want, but there's gonna be consequences. That's the part people can't just seem to grasp. I'm telling you, man, and I meant it when I said it. If it were me on here right now spewing the stuff that she's spewing, I would get banned, man. I would, because it's not right. Nobody's trying to silence her for having an opinion. We're trying to silence her because misinformation is wrong. And she blatantly has an audience for it that she is influencing. She is influencing people to cause harm. This is all very, very true. This should not be allowed. That's not a freedom of speech issue. And I'm so tired of people trying to turn it to that. Oh, well, if they shut her down, then that just opens the door for them to do it to all of us. No, it doesn't. Because we're not all acting like that. Don't act like that. Hold on, Nikki. I'm trying to... Is it possible to scroll back? Yes, Jerry. Was that it, Nikki? No, I'm kidding. Jerry, just ask your questions again, man. I'm old. And you guys know when you ask me something, I'll just start doing the look off and really get into my head and bring out the story. And then I'm like losing my place over here. Jerry is new. Well, welcome in, Jerry. We are an awesome family. We are very, very strongly opinionated, but factually. Everybody's free to have their own opinion here. Just keep it cool. That's it. Just keep it cool, man. She should be held accountable, Jerry. Oh, yeah, I saw somebody ask about X somewhere. I've got to do better for you guys. Like... I feel so. I'm just not as smooth with this as like LLC and stuff. Yeah, I don't want to bring Sean Ryan on this show, man. Nah. Although, since you mentioned that, guess who reached out to me and apologized? I'll give you guys a few minutes. As far as X is concerned, so far so good. I'm just ignoring everything. Except you guys. Again, if I see something, doesn't mean I see it all, but if I log on and see one of you have said something or whatever, I'll give it the little heart, you know. But yeah, I'm just whatever, man. They're not gonna run me off there again because I don't care. I'm just gonna post my stuff for people who want it, and if the others don't, then they don't. They can act however they want. Oh yeah, 100% Whippoorwill. I want to do something with Artie. 100%. We were actually talking about it a while back, and then a whole bunch of drama stuff happened, and I haven't really reached back out to him. He hasn't reached out to me. I did. I found him on X when I signed back up and followed him. I'm trying to like catch back up with everybody that I used to have on there. Yeah, I mean, Artie and I have got so much in common. I don't think he realizes it, but I think him and I could do some great shows, and I just need to take that step and reach back out to him again, because I would definitely. He's my kind of people, and he doesn't even know it. But as far as who reached out to me, I was quite surprised because I hardly check TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, you know I'll upload some videos maybe once a week or something when I remember it's still there, because TikTok constantly wants to like not let my videos play because I'm talking politics and stuff. I'm always getting warnings and everything. But homeboy Ryan Morrow, Russian boy Ryan Morrow, had reached out to me and apologized and said that he was sorry that he ghosted me like that. He wasn't sure what was going on back with all that drama and everything, and if it was still, he still wants to come on the show. So I shot him a message back, and I've got his cell phone number now. He's got mine, and we're going to set something up. We're going to get Ryan Morrow on here now. So that's good news. Can't believe I forgot to tell you guys that. So the dust is settling, and things are getting back to the way they should have been. Yeah, I followed Ryan for a while on, well, you guys remember, I think it was months ago, I was playing some of his clips when I found him on Facebook, and I even made the joke like he needs to work on his humor because he's trying to crack jokes and wasn't landing, which I will be the first to tell him when I get him on the show. But anyways, he's going to be coming on. We just got to figure out when. I need to reach back out to Artie and see if he wants to do something. But Ryan is all for it. Like I said, he reached out to me, so that's good. I like Artie because you know what I like about the people that I like? LLC, right? Jay Witt. Those are two I watch a lot. Artie I watch. And admittedly, I will occasionally swing in. Like I told you guys before, I was a huge fan of Paramount Tactical. Watched everything, dude. Before I even got into this Fax Me thing, I was watching Paramount Tactical because me and my dad are into freaking guns. You know what I mean? So he was like the channel for that. And I'll occasionally catch something, like I'll see y'all talking about something that happened, and I'll go watch. Like I went and watched. I didn't watch it all because I think it went 3 or 4 hours, but it was a panel that had Jay Witt, Artie, Bronson, some guy I didn't know, and then a candy cultist. I think he had like a British accent or something. Is this ringing a bell with anybody? Maybe he's Australian. I think he said he was Australian. I don't know. I watched that. The point I was getting at was Artie, though. All these people are different. It's like when you watch the main streamers, right? They're just cookie cutter versions of each other. Does that make sense? Whereas Artie's got his own gig, man. It's Artie. You know what? Nobody can replace Artie. LLC's got her own style and the way she delivers things, and nobody can replace her. Jay Witt, same thing. You know? And I think that's partly what you guys like here. It's different. It's different. I like these eclectic mixes. And then the fact that we all get along, too. and work together. I don't like the stale cookie cutter stuff of the Megyn Kellys and the Tuckers, and there's so many, and there's even like, as much as I like what's his name? He's a younger guy. I stop on his reels every time I pass him on face. Joshua Carr, wonderful dude, wonderful dude. But his style isn't mine. You know what I mean? He's more of the, hey, I want to be a serious newscaster. And he's a young guy. He's got his whole life ahead of him. That's great. Go for it, man. You're good. Do it. Do it. You got the look. Good looking dude. You know, you got the know-how. You got the audience. Do it, man. It's working for you. I like more artistic, creative, down-to-earth conversation. And that's why I like Artie and LLC and Jason, you know. So, but Josh, actually, one of y'all sent me a link yesterday or the day before. Josh was covering Fax Me. I had posted that picture showing the fine print of when you donate to Candace, how it can go to George, and he covered that, which I thought was pretty cool. I think so too, Nikki. And I think it's so cool. You know, I love seeing you guys in the chat when you're talking about, hey, where to next? Are we going to Jay Witt? Are we going to... That's awesome, man. That's a community. We're like... I kind of view it like you've got Fax Me. Like if we're in this open world, right? Of like a video game, right? We're in an open world. You got Fax Me over here on this island. Then you got LLC. And you got Artie. And you got Jason, Jay Witt, you know, and we're all on the same world. You know, saying, and then you got the other one that's got the other, like Megyn Kelly, you know, that on, you know, whatever, that style. So I like that, man. It's like we're on the same world, different communities, but we're all neighbors. Yeah. Oh yeah, I like Ben Shapiro. Always have. He was always one of my favorites. I like his he's a good debater because he knows how to not necessarily be smarter than you, he just knows how to be faster. He knows how to play you into a corner. Charlie was great at that. Charlie was freaking great at that. Using the other, your opponent's style against them. Charlie was a master of it, dude. You know, that just sucks. But you know, I want to see what you guys think about debating. And this is what got me thinking. When I went over and I was watching Paramount Tactical do that panel, where it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them against the one guy. Okay, first off, that's not how I would do it. I think that's like, I don't know. I don't think that's cool to have 5 on 1 like that. But the guy openly did it. He was all for it. You know what I mean? So that's on him. But I think there's 2 styles of debating. I think there's the way that like the Paramount Tactical handled it. And I'm just using that video as an example. I haven't watched a lot of the different debates, but just that one as an example. And then you have more like one-on-one type stuff that you see with like Michael Nolis a lot and Ben, you know. And even Charlie, when he would do it on stage or do it at the Turning Point events. But tell me if you guys agree with this. It seems now that online debating has kind of lost its substance. Like, we've kind of lost focus of what debating actually is and the purpose behind it, to where now it's like a sport. That's the exact impression I get when I watch these yelling, loser, blah, 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 blah. Let me talk, let me finish, let me talk, it's like a sporting event now. Online debating has become entertainment as a sporting event, to where I think a lot is getting lost in the translation. And there's some people that do it well. Um, Andrew Wilson does it well. Uh, and he's interviewed some real douchebags too. I don't know how he does it sometimes. But when it's getting into this just convoluted yelling and nobody's making any progress and you've turned it into a sport, that's not the style of debating I like. Donna, that is correct. We lost more than a giant with Charlie. We lost a movement. We lost a very important movement. And that's that's one of the things that bothered me so bad is it's so hard to tap into this younger generation when it comes to Christianity, education, liability, accountability. It's so hard, and Charlie was on it, man. He was bridging that divide and making huge progress. And let's face facts, in such a small amount of time. That doesn't come along often. It just doesn't. We're lucky we see one like that in our lifetime. And he was taken from us. And what could have been this beautiful reinforced movement after we lost him, and it started out that way, was destroyed. Completely destroyed by the grifters. Those are not godly people, Factivists. They aren't. They aren't. Do you know if they got any of Tyler's clothing from September 10th? What evidence would you like to see at the trial that hasn't been presented? Well, I want to see it all. First and foremost, I want to see any video footage that has not been cleared for the public. I want to see, because they've got it. They've got it. Look, you can't have that many people all filming and not have crystal clear footage of a lot of this. They've got it. And we're going to see it. It's going to happen. It's just got to go to trial. But I don't need to see anything to know Tyler Robinson's the one that did it. I'm going to be there reporting, for you guys and for my, get it all out there for Fax Me. But I don't need to see anything. I'm done. I know he has done it. But I do, once it's all said and done, it would be nice to have a showcase of all that stuff that we couldn't see. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm going through your guys' chat here. Well, what kills me, Ramza, what kills me with what you just said is, we'll just take Candace Owens. Okay, how long was she going on the fact that Tyler Robinson was never even at UVU? Now all of a sudden she's all about it. He was on the roof. That's what kills me is she contradicts her own theories. I'd have so much more respect if you just picked one and stayed with it this entire time. But every new theory contradicts the one you said before. Yeah, the statements to the police, definitely. I mean, that's the thing, man. And that's a great point. And I think I've seen other people say this too, is that I'm losing my train of thought. in all these cases, like let's take Austin, the Metcalf thing, right? The other guy's parents dead set against trying to get him free, right? In every case, you always have the parents say, oh, not my kid, not my kid, you know, and they do everything they can to fight for their kid, right? But his parents knew better. That right there was the number one thing to me. His own parents said, dude, you're gone. You've admitted to it. We're turning you in because, you know, they could get in just as much trouble, you know, for housing him or knowing about it. You know, so that speaks volumes to me that they did that, when in most cases, the parents don't ever do that. They are fighting for the innocents. Jerry, I haven't seen any, I mean, I've seen body cam footage, but I don't think it's what you're talking about. I know they've got the interrogation filmed. That'll get released during the trial. Right, Nikki. That was kind of the point I was getting at earlier. It's like she keeps showing this stuff to start a new narrative, a new grift, but completely, by doing so, disproves the prior grift. And it's like, which part of that do you get upset with? The part that Candace just straight-faced does that? Or the fact that millions of people buy into it? They're like, dude, if any of us were sitting there, we'd be like, last week you just said it was this, and you 100%, this is going to change the case, this is it, da, da, da. You say that all the time. But her audience doesn't do that. That to me is the most disturbing part. You can't tell me that isn't a cult mentality. Because it is. You know, I say things all here all the time you guys disagree with, and that's good. That's what we welcome here at FaxMe. If this was Candace's cult, they wouldn't be. Right? We can have conversation and difference of opinions and arguments and still be friends in the end. Not them. It's their way or the highway. Ramsey, you can have him. Give me an address. I'll send him out in the mail tomorrow. Sorry if I'm missing questions, guys. It's really weird. Like, I don't use the same software that I think LLC and them use, because, like, the text timing is completely off. Like right now I'm looking at myself, and it is maybe 5 or 6 seconds off. So I say something, and then 6 seconds later you hear it, and then when I look at in my software, I've got a chat, right, that goes one speed, but if I go out to the actual page that you guys are on, it's completely different speed, like it's way ahead. So weird. That's what confuses me sometimes when I'm looking at all these different screens. Anna, that is correct. That is correct. They can't, and I see so many of you say that to the candy cultists, at least on my channels and stuff. Do you have your own brain? Can you think for yourself? Dude, I'm telling you, they are a lost cause. You know, I posted that video yesterday debunking Candace. Posted a video today debunking Candace. And these Nimrods still on Facebook, I'm being paid by Israel. None of this is true. Dude, it's literal fact. It's literal fact that if you opened up another tab or however you do it on your phone and just go look it up, you're going to see exactly what I just said. I don't know. I don't know. What boy? Remington's upset he didn't get another segment. Well, see, Sat to Cat, though, that happened. That do you guys remember that back in December? You know, she had that meeting with Erica, right? That was going to set the record straight on everything. And when she came back, she was trying to switch it up. Like, she was, to me, was trying to get off of the Charlie Kirk thing. And her audience wasn't having it, dude. They were not having it. They rode her until she went right back to it. She realized that if she flipped to reality, like the rest of us, that she was going to lose her entire crowd. So it's all about the money to her. I agree, Earth Angel. I looked, when I was doing her debunk video this morning from her episode last night, I noticed that. I was like, well, shoot, this is the next day, and she's not hitting the numbers she normally does, you know, by this time. Jerry, I love it, man. You know, in Factivists will tell you the same thing. They do it. I've done it thousands of times probably at this point. You just ask them. When one of those candy cultists come at you about something, just ask them. Say, well, okay, I'll tell you what. I'm open-minded. I tell them like this. I will do a video and correct it right now if you can bring verified and empirical facts that Candace Owens is right. Surely that's got to be easy. It's been 10 months, right? Shouldn't be too hard. Just bring me right now what you would hand over to law enforcement to be used in court. And it's always the same thing. Oh, I don't have to explain anything to you. Or they don't respond at all. It's just crickets. Or here come more insults. Not a one. And there are so many people you guys right now can say, we've seen it. They cannot bring a fact because there are none. And they know it. And you would think at that point they could just gracefully bow out. They don't got to make a big spectacle about it. Just stop listening to her. Just stop reposting her stuff. Just leave. You don't have to come and say you guys were right. You know? Just leave. Just leave Candace. That's it. It's that simple. But I think their egos are like, oh, we can't come out and say that we've been duped for 10 months because then we'll look stupid. Well, you're looking stupid regardless. Oh, thanks, Anna. Tell you what, guys, I am going to take a quick restroom break. We've got 20 minutes to go. Let me go tinkle real quick, and I'll come back and we'll close this thing out. This boring thing out. Can't believe I did this. All right, hold on. Let me find something to play for you guys.
Like, hype, subscribe.
Every week they lie, twist facts, and dodge the truth. We call it out. Educate, don't fabricate. Subscribe to Facts Me for weekly fact checks.
You are watching Facts Me TV. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.
Sorry. Hey, sorry about that. You guys should be able to hear me now. Anyways, what I did say was that's about the truth. Fabricate, don't educate. See, there's so many buttons. It's like I have to mute me when I go to commercials and videos or whatever, and then unmute me when I come back, and I forgot. Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. What were you saying? Good? Good. Okay, cool. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying. I'm new. All I can think about is Joe Dirt when he takes that job at the oil place and he screws it up and oil's flying everywhere. I'm new. It's great. See, I wish, like when I do these at work, it's so hard, man, because I have to cut in and out from actually being live to pre-recorded to back to live to pre-record. It's a pain in the butt. It really is. So that's what's nice now about having Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I can actually be here in my studio and it can be a little more free-flowing. It doesn't have to be so calculated. Real and raw. I appreciate that, guys. So as we wind down here, because I'm having, what am I having? Roasted little chicken bites and rice for dinner. And I'm not sure why I told you guys that. Because I'm usually the guy that makes fun of people for posting pictures of what they're about to eat on Facebook. Well, I just took it up a level. I just took it up a level? That's right. So, I think what we'll do with these old Q&As is we won't. I think we'll just, on the days that, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I'm actually here physically at the house in my office, it'll just be more of free-flowing show. I'll have a show planned, but can still address you guys and stuff. It may open up for better conversation, or hey, if you have, because I see it a lot when I'm at the store, and I'll show a clip or a presentation, and then you guys are asking questions, but because I'm running a pre-recorded segment, I can't really, you know. But we'll get it there, guys. We'll get it there. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki, the moderator. Jim, I don't know what happened to Jim, but he was here for a while. I think he lost internet. And Juju. These are your people, guys. You new people that are coming in. If you need anything, ask any questions. Nikki and Juju and Jim are the people. Don't ask me. I'll tell you the wrong thing just to be funny. Yes, sir, Jerry. Like I said, I do, man. I do. It's the Christ thing to do. That's, you know, it's funny because I on one hand I dislike the when we say that, you know, like God bless. I say God bless all the time, even to the candy cultists. And they want to come out, oh, you just think you're better than everybody because you're Christian or you're conservative or blah, blah. Well, first off, if you think like that, then already you understand that being a Christian and or conservative, clearly in your head, you view that as being a better quality of life. Or you wouldn't say you just think you're better. But here's the correction. And I'm only speaking for myself, but as a Christian, I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I'm actually very humble. I just set myself to a higher standard, and I wish more people would. That's my answer to that. Furries for Candace did I saw some what okay, just what's the deal with the name? What's the deal with the name? I know it's a Q&A. I'm asking the question now. What is the deal with Furries for Candace? I get mostly everybody else. It's like an extension of their name in some way, you know, or something that they represent, you know. So I'm curious about furries for Candace. Clearly, it's not so in a supportive sense. Earth Angel, let me tell you, man, I'm dealing with that now as small time, and I'm trying so hard to like get out of this frame of mind that I have to appease everybody, because it's just getting impossible. Like, I've just allotted a certain amount of time to where I'll read through comments or I'll read emails or whatever, but it just gets to the point where, well, you said it. I mean, you just can't keep up, you know? And that is one thing I'm going to strive really, really, really hard not to lose as we grow, is this connection with you guys. Because that's the important part to me. You know, the whole conversation part and the camaraderie and the family vibe. And, you know, honestly, you know, when and I could be wrong, but when have you ever seen really Candace really like address her audience, people that aren't paying for it? They're not paying, you know, they're $49.99 to get their little text put up on the screen and her talk about it. You know, there's no relationship there, man. Her relationship's with money, and we are not going down that road here, ever. Marjorie, I'm actually working on something to do that. As far as calling in, for lack of a better way to describe it, I'm working on something for that. But we'll see. Baby steps, one step at a time, as this evolves. Like I said, for you new people, the rest of you guys kind of know where my head's at with the master plan here. You know, eventually I want to get Fax Me full time, Monday through Friday at a minimum. You guys know how I am on the weekends. I'll say I'm not doing a show, and then I do a show, right? But they're always the wild card. But I want Monday through Friday to where I want to do like a Fax Me, what was I calling it? Rise and Grind, to where it's more like, hey, this is what I woke up to in the news. Just kind of a straightforward 30-minute thing in the mornings, like maybe it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, alive, and then do my normal 4 o'clock, which is the more prepared show that you guys are used to. And then even expand beyond that to, of course, just more videos being uploaded, you know, because not everything needs to be a show. You know what I'm saying? Like these debunks of Candace, the one I uploaded yesterday, the one I uploaded today, that doesn't have to be in a show. You can just upload it and let it roll, you know. But I have so many ideas for how to just make more content for you guys. I just need to get the time to do it. But that's the ultimate goal. Getting there to where we do a rise and grind every morning. I want to include a segment every morning in that called Fax Me AM, where we also do prayers, you know, where we can take prayer requests, do all that, so it's not so last minute in a live or something. Which, by the way, if you guys would pray for Mackenzie again, that would be fantastic. She sent me a really long email. I was hoping she would be here today, but she's not doing too good, guys. But reach out to her if you can, if you know how. But yeah, I've got a master plan here, guys. We just gotta get to it, to where you see this background all the time. We just gotta get there, because I truly believe that if I could focus on this full time, we could really, really, really make something of it. It'll hit a ceiling, and that's fine. We just got it's consistency with me, man. I want more. It eats me alive when I tell you guys there's going to be a show tomorrow, and then it gets busy at the store, and I can't do the show, or I get interrupted, and it's just so unprofessional. It's so unfair to you guys that are expecting content. And but yeah, we're gonna see some big changes once I can get this thing rolling. Maybe find the right sponsors. We'll see. We'll get it there. We'll get it there one step at a time. But you guys have made all the difference. Well, guys, if that's it, man, I think I'm going to wrap up. And Remington's out there. I don't know if you heard him. He's all, it's gone 2 hours. God forbid that he don't get attention for 2 hours. That dog is always with me, man. Always. Always. But I appreciate you guys hanging out today, joining me for this. Like I said, I was really looking forward to it. Nice open dialogue. And it would be great to get that into a format. I'm working on it. I'm looking into some things where you can call in, or we'll figure out something. I want more interactive abilities. I'm going to think on that. But tomorrow we'll have another show, 4 o'clock, and I'm sure it'll be Candace-ified, amongst other things. And I'm still following along. I'm still waiting for that judge to rule whether this is going to trial with the Macrones. I'm still watching the Harpole stuff. You guys know I will update you as soon as I know. And we'll just go from there. But yeah, guys, I'm an open book, man. I don't hide from anything, so we're here, man. You guys want to know something, we'll do it. You guys tell me. Like I saw some interest in the paranormal stuff. You know, I'd already kind of planned, like, once we get into, like, October, you know, the Halloween month, the spooky season, you know, doing some episodes, the ghost stories and stuff like that, but real, you know, bringing you guys real footage from my investigations, where you'll see little young Steven as a young lad with his little head cams on and night vision goggles. Oh, you guys get a kick out of it. We look like a SWAT team going in and out of these places. Yeah, I agree, furries for Candace. I do, man. And Factivists will tell you, I say this all the time, we have got to keep positivity flowing. Because everything out there in internet land, man, has just gone to hell. It's all negative. And, you know, I've said it before, I can remember growing up and seeing, like, uplifting stories on the news. They would always have a segment of something good that happened in their community. You know, somebody saved somebody's life, or this person donated this. You know, we need more of that. And that's why I was making suggestions that, hey, maybe we'll do episodes that talk about movies. Maybe we'll do episodes that talk about music. Who knows? But we've got to create that balance, because I know for me, man, it wears on me. After, you know, dealing with this heartache and death and hate, and it's like, oh man, you know, and you try to put that smile on for you guys to cover it, and it's good to level it out. So you guys have a nice night. I am going to pull the plug on this, because if I don't, I'll just, that's what happens. Instead, I'm going to go talk to Remy and my wife and eat some chicken and rice, because that's what every fat kid needs. But you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you again for hanging out with me for these 2 hours. It flew by for me. This is the most I've talked in a long time. But we'll have a plan for tomorrow's show. See you guys at 4 o'clock, and we will go from there. With that being said, I am out.